All right, sorry about that. I had the whole get up on and you missed it. I didn't realize that I wasn't live. I was over here talking for 20 minutes and didn't know it. Well, but I had the whole get up and in my get up, here's my ball, my crystal ball, and if you see in it, he promised me a German Shepherd puppy. Look at that. Promised me a German Shepherd puppy. I rubbed it, Aaron, with my spatula, which is, where did I put my spatula? I don't know where I put my spatula. Oh well. Um. Anyway, I was rubbing it, and and lo and behold, lo and behold, pup, 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 pup. Come here's, come here's. Oh my goodness, look what showed up. Oh goodness, she's way over here. Come here, come here. Oh my, come here. Oh, he promised me a German Shepherd puppy, and look what showed up. Oh my goodness, he's so true to his word, and it's so fast, so immediately fast. Look at that. He promised me a German Shepherd puppy, and I got one. Yay. All right, I'm going to put her down. I'm going to name you Stormy, though. We're going to call her Stormy. Isn't she cute? Hi, Stormy. Actually, let me tell you the truth on this one. Oh, goodness. The truth on this one is this dog, that we've got this puppy for my son who has seizures. We're going to train her for as a seizure detection dog. So this is my son's puppy. Thank you, Hizzle. Hitzel. Is it Hitzel? Anyway, if I butcher your name, I apologize. Hi, DJ. Sorry I came in late. I thought I was on live and talked for 20 minutes and then realized, holy crap, I didn't turn myself on. So, hey, there we go. Anyway, so I had the whole get up. I mean, I had my shoe. See, I did my shoe. And my son thought that was so funny that he came out and took a picture of me. He was like, "You're crazy, Mom." And then I had my cowl. See, my cowl right here, my pillowcase. So I had the whole get up. And I started out the whole thing. And you know how it is when you don't turn it on when you're supposed to. Yeah, that's the joys of first lives on this channel. But anyway, so the cult of Aaron. Guys, I don't know about any of you who do lives, or any of do videos, but I've emailed Aaron 5 or 6 times. I've gotten one answer from the email. And that was it. Aaron doesn't tell me what to do or what to talk about. I don't know about any of you other people who do lives and so on and so forth. And DJ and I are going to be working together on a couple of lives here, hopefully pretty soon. But anyway, I don't hear from him. And to be honest, the videos that I've done so far, I haven't heard from him. He hasn't told me what to do or how to do it. And so the whole idea of this being a cult with a charismatic leader, we have to understand what a cult is, that demands singular beliefs, which Aaron doesn't. You can believe him or you cannot believe him. I mean, he doesn't care. He's just telling his story the way he sees it. So the whole idea of answering to Aaron for what content creators put up is ludicrous, to say the least. There's no one that controls any of us. We all do our own thing, and we don't ask when we can go on. We don't schedule anything. I mean, I think Nora at one time talked about how she wanted to make a schedule so that nobody stepped over anybody else and that type of stuff. And Aaron looked at her and said, no, that's not what this is about. It's about people being able to come on, tell their stories in their own words, to the public. And that's what it's about. So there's no cult of Aaron. Some of us agree with him all of the time. Some of us agree with him some of the time. And if I don't agree with him, I'll say so. It doesn't matter. So don't think that there's a cult of Aaron. I mean, it's kind of a funny joke going on right now, and I'm enjoying it. And I think Spirit Cheryl did a beautiful video not too long ago with this, and it was really funny. And now she's done some meditation videos, but that whole thought process is just funny. And so let's look at things that are going on in the community today. And the biggest elephant in the room is Sister Stephanie, good old Stephanie Hutchinson. Yeah, that's now Sabbath and the puppy playing, so it may get a little noisy in the background. All right, you two. Anyway, the elephant in the room is Stephanie herself. She brought out a video that she thought was going to vindicate this woman, Juliana. I don't know her last name, and I really don't care. But this crazy woman that Aaron hooked himself up with when he was covering the Jane Does at the Danny Masterson trial. And it seems like he had a good time with her for a little while and that things were going hunky-dory. And then one night, all heck breaks loose, or all hell is what I call it. And then he has to find a way to get her out of his hotel room after she attacks him, basically says one of us is not leaving here under our own power. And he cut his toe got cut, so the way he used to get out of there was to I need help to go get something to fix my foot because it was bleeding profusely. And so they go to CVS and he gets his stuff and he's trying to tell the security guy there, please call 911, get this woman off of me. He's being attacked, and the guy says, I can't do that. So now we have this crazy video, which is it's CCTV, supposedly from the CVS, but it's not. It looks like it's across the street, like from a building or a lamppost. I mean, you have to realize most of us are on video 90% of our time. So, you're walking down the street, you're on video. But anyway, so they get this video and it shows what happened. Well, Aaron explained to us what happened on Down the Rabbit Hole. Hey, pup groomer. So he explained to us what happened on Down the Rabbit Hole. He tells the story of what happened from the attack in the hotel room all the way through to when he got rid of her at the CVS. And if you watch that video, what he said happened is exactly what happened. Okay? She's grabbing him. She's obviously the aggressor. She's grabbing him. Pardon the puppy in the background. She's holding on to him. She's being a pain in the rear, to be quite honest. And then she grabs him around from behind. Now you see her behind him and she jumps up and she grabs him around the neck. He does a classic move. He ducks out, grabs her arm, ducks out underneath, and then pushes her away. Now, he's been pushing her away the whole time. If you watch that, you see him pushing her away from him. Get away, get away, get away. And my gosh, she deserves an Oscar for the fall that she took because he obviously didn't throw her that hard. Might have been some momentum from the fact that she wasn't on her feet and that she had jumped on him. We don't know. And it's really one of those, like DJ says, Aaron brought the receipt, showed the amazing amounts of restraint considering he has martial arts MMA training. Exactly. If he was serious about it, that woman would not have gotten up. Period. Would not have gotten up, would not have run down the street after him. Now, here's the thing, though, is that you're looking at a muscular, big man and a little tiny woman. And there is a double standard in this country and probably all over the world when it comes to assault, between a male and a female. Now, most of the time, everybody's going to side with the female because she's littler. She's not as strong. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter who's bigger, who's stronger, who's whatever. It's who's the aggressor. Who is the one who is doing the attack? Who was the one who was defending themselves and trying to extradite themselves from the situation? So if you look at that video, it is obvious to anyone. I don't know, who's got rose-colored glasses or blinders or whatever on, that he is just trying to extradite himself out of that situation. Get away. Leave me alone. I called you an Uber. Go get in it. He's just trying to get out of a bad situation. So the fact of the matter is that he being the man, it's automatically assumed that he's the aggressor. Well, that's not always the case. Men get assaulted by women on a regular basis. I'll be real honest. And most of them don't get reported because the man is embarrassed about the fact that this little woman gave him a black eye or whatever, happened, scratched him up, whatever. So it's one of those deals where society, without truly, if you go and listen to the Hutchinson story about, or even Juliana's story about what happened, the society automatically gravitates towards the woman. However, if you look at it at truly at face value, no preconceived notions, that type of stuff, you can tell that Aaron is not the aggressor. So, yes, I agree, DJ. If he had intended any level of harm, she had been a wet spot on the wall. Sorry if I sound brutal. You're right, though. That is the truth. If he had truly meant to harm her, she would not have gotten up. She would not have run after him. She would have laid there in a puddle of herself, injured, probably unconscious. He's a big guy. But none of that happened. None of it. So why is it that one automatically believes the woman in situations like this and doesn't believe a man who is saying, hey, and I'll be honest, I don't think Aaron really wanted to bring this out, wanted to talk about it, even in the beginning. He was forced to talk about it because of the situation that was going on with the Aftermath Foundation. They forced his hand, and he is one of those who truly believes that you take the power away from the attacker by telling the truth. And so he brought the story out. It's not, what man wants to say that a woman broke his toe, cut him up, did all these things to him in a hotel room and then out in the public street? No man wants to do that. It's not the macho thing to do. But when you're forced to defend yourself from allegations put out to a group of people who are desperately looking for a way to get rid of you, so they have this moral thing, and then tell them that all they want, they're not going to go to the police, they're not going to, which is crazy, they're not going to sue them. Let me tell you, if I'd had that happen to me and I was not the aggressor, I'm going to the police, and then I'm going to the hospital, get stitches. And then I'm pressing charges. It's that simple. But she did none of that. All she did was go to the Aftermath Foundation and say, look, I'm not going to make this a big deal for you guys if you get rid of Aaron on the board. And that was all the excuse they needed. So that's what they did. And thank God they did. Aaron is now free. He talks about things that he wants to talk about in ways that he wants to talk about them. I have never seen him more free to talk about the things that he wants to talk about. It's like a big weight, a big burden was pulled off of his shoulders, and he is much lighter. And of course, he's much happier right now. He's got a great relationship going on that, is really good for the both of them, I think. He's got the SPTV Foundation, which is really, really a special foundation. We just did a chat-a-thon for it this past weekend, raised quite a bit of money for it. And, it's going to be a great addition. Now, we don't want to get rid of the Aftermath Foundation. We want it to still do its job, but it's got to do its job. And from what we've seen now, we're really not seeing the Aftermath Foundation do its job. It's all about destroying the SPTV Foundation. That's all they care about right now. We've got to destroy it. We have to destroy it. Well, it's going to be really hard to destroy it when it has so much support. A lot of the people in this community truly support the SPTV Foundation, as well they should. And I believe that were I coming out of a high control group like Scientology, the last people I would want to go to were the upper management of the same group that I just left. Those people made my life hell for years and years. In my situation, I'm speaking hypothetically, but they would have made my life hell for years and years. And now they want me to go to them to beg for assistance because I've left. That makes no sense. So the reality of it is that now there's a place for those people to go who look at the board of the Aftermath Foundation and go, oh no, there is no way. Now they have the SPTV Foundation, where there are people that never ends. There are people that were in and know what they've been through. It's a much more open board that makes decisions. So really and truly, I think it's a good thing. And it has nothing to do with the cult of Aaron. It has everything to do with ending the cult of Scientology and getting those people out and getting those children out. Now, I'll be doing a pre-recorded video here soon concerning what my soapbox issue was on the chat-a-thon. Folks, in the United States, and I hear Australia has no statute of limitations, but here in the United States, statute of limitations for crimes are set up by individual states. It's a state thing. And so some states have no statute of limitations on things like murder, grape, or the R word, SA, kidnapping, that type of stuff. And some states give you 5 years, some give you 20 years after you turn the age of 18. As I'm researching this, it's all over the place. Let's be honest. Things like murder, SA, child abuse, child trafficking should not have a statute of limitations across the board, period. Because you have to understand when that happens to you, and this is from research, when it happens to you, and knowing people who have gone through child SA, you block that out. Let me tell you a little bit about me. Let me explain where this comes from. My mother is a narcissist, and I was the person she fed off of. And so I spent my entire life being told that I was ugly, that I was no good, that I would amount to nothing, that I was stupid, that I was a mistake, all those things. And so even though in the moment I fought back, it does something to you here. And so what I did, because it was so bad, I was bullied in school, and then I would come home and I'd be bullied at home. There was no safe place. So what I did instead, and to this day, I have to fight it because it has become more real to me than what actually happened. I made up an entire childhood to deal with the trauma that I had faced within my childhood in reality. And in that fake world that I made up, it's very hard to catch me in that because I used to ride horses. Yes, I did. I've shown a couple of horses. Yes, I did. But I was never on the international circuit, which I say I was. I never was a first alternate to the 1980 Olympics, which I say I was. I never traveled to Paris or Germany or Europe in any way. The only place I've been out of the country is Mexico. So, but the story that I have a name. I have names of people who were active at that time. I have places where they were. It's something that I have studied so much to create this artificial world that I could live with. And to this day, it'll pop out every once in a while, and I have to reel it in really fast. I have to be very aware of what I say. That artificial world became more real to me than the one that I actually lived. And I think that's what happens to people who are products or who have suffered childhood traumas. They deal with it in different ways. Mine was to make up a whole new life. Others is to bury it so far back that the only time you see it sometimes is at night when you're trying to sleep, and it's nightmares, of the things that happen to you. So if you're talking about a statute of limitation of, let's say, 5 years after the victim turns 18. So we're talking what, 19, 20, 20, 23 years old. I can tell you that I would not have come out of this real world at 23. In fact, I didn't. I was in my mid 40s, I want to say, before I finally started realizing that this fake world was more damaging, that I needed to face what had happened to me. So, if you're talking about a statute of limitations on a child essay, even young child essay, when we're talking very young, 2, 3, toddler size. Yes, Stormy, I hear you. Anyway, they're going to bury that so deep in their psyche that it will take years and years to present itself. Okay? So to say that you have 5 years after you turn 18, you may not even realize it happened to you. You have these crazy nightmares that show what happened to you, but they're nightmares. They're not real. They're dreams. They're your subconscious talking, But in your real world, where you can come out and you can talk to people and you can say to the police what happened to you, that could take years. I mean, we're talking decades. And 5 years after you turn 18 is not going to cover that. By the time you realize that these nightmares that you're having happened to you, you're past that. Your time's up, And so here you are, having just realized that this happened to you, and there's nothing you can do. Now tell me, how is that justice? How is that fair? It's not. It's not fair. And children suffer these things, unfortunately, way too often. There are a lot of people in this world who have suffered from child SA and child trafficking and assault that still to this day don't remember what happened to them, and they don't understand why their life has been affected by the things that happened to them. Why does everything seem to go wrong? Why does the world seem to be weird? you know, because it affects you as it does me. It affects you for your entire life. I can tell you, as I talked to my father about this, my father, I think she was pretty much feeding on him too. He kind of didn't stay around. He was gone all the time. But I talked to my father about this and some of the things that happened that he wasn't aware of. And you know what he said to me? He said, the one thing, and now you have to understand, again, I was being told as a child that I was no good, that I would never amount to anything, that I would never do anything with my life, that I was stupid, that I was a mistake. But he said to me, he said, the only thing I wish was not the case, that is an effect of this, is that when things get tough, you give up. And I sat back and I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I do. Because I'm too stupid to be successful at it. I'm too stupid to work through the problem. And that comes from being told that for years and years and years. And to this day, that affects me. It is, and these things that happen to these children, these horrific things, affect them for their entire life. Now, you can get, and I'm still looking for the right therapist, but you can get therapy and work through these things. I'd never go to my mother and say, you're a narcissist and this is what you did to me. You abused me. I did that once. I made that mistake. And she literally looked at me and said, no, you abused me. We're talking a child, she says, abused her. And that's typical narcissist behavior. They're going to turn anything around and say that you did it to them. That's typical abusers' behavior. Oh, there was a reason you were flirting with me. Or in the case of Scientology, you pulled it in. You must have done it in a past life. So these things that are happening to these kids abhorrently, like I said, are going to affect them the rest of their life. And they are not, some of them will not remember what happened to them until they're 40, 50, just like me. And having a statute of limitation that says, 5 years after the victim turns 18 is useless. What needs to happen in this country is that it needs to be across the board, every state, by national decree, by federal law, that child trafficking, and kidnapping have no statute of limitations. None. Because that's the only way these people are going to be able to get their justice, to be able to begin to heal, to be able to look their attacker in the eye and say, you did this to me and you're going to pay. Until that happens, we're going to have a lot of damaged kids in this world who have been trafficked, who have been, abused. They're going to continue to suffer. And we can't allow that to happen. We are a civilized country. We can't allow that to happen. We're not, a bunch of Neanderthal running around in the woods. So, we have to allow these people to get their justice. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a video on it. I'm in the middle of the research on it. But I truly believe that the downfall of Scientology is going to be the abuse of children and elders. There are not people out here in the real world who say, "Oh, that's a good thing. We don't care," because the minute you find, I don't know about you, but the minute somebody's a child is being abused, I'm going to jump in there and take action. You can't do that. You just can't. You know, you can't. Yeah, DJ and I have had numerous conversations. And he says, remember when you and me spoke about how to disarm cults, tyrants, and such? Music, humor, and knowledge. Same way when Stephanie Hutchinson tries to call us a cult and we turn her words into a joke. That is the way to disarm people who want to harm you. So, and Pup Groomer at DJ Nico, aka Nikolai, you are right. If Erin fought back, there would have been much more brutal injuries on her than what was shown. People would have had no other action but to call the police. And you're right, very right. Obviously, she was not injured to the point where it was major. Kudos for her for doing her LeBron flop right into a wall so that she did get some sort of injury. But it's obviously made up, it's obviously orchestrated. I think, I'll be honest, I think she was a plant. I think there was a intent for him to meet her and to have these things happening. So, DJ, from personal experience of being abused by my partner, there's a huge stigma when a man is the one targeted, and it has been exploited so much. And that's that double standard that I was talking about. There's a strong double standard, and they just don't. I mean, it's immediately, he did it. He did it. She's this little bitty thing. She couldn't hurt a fly. He did it. It not even looking at any injuries that is on the man and lack thereof on the woman. It's always he did it. He abused her. That's a double standard that needs to stop. Period. So that's funny, DJ. The old saying is, when elephants fight, the grass suffers. Who watches out for the defenseless? And you're right. And there's so many who don't watch out. Hi, Clearwater Chad. Good to see you. That don't watch out for the defenseless. They take it upon themselves to be the victim. They try to change the narrative away from what it needs to be, and that's about the true victims. So, yes, I agree. So, and DJ, he's been in therapy a half a year, and it's really helped me a lot, giving me closure, tools, and drive to move forward. Yeah, I need to get into therapy, DJ. I just have to find the right one and figure out how my insurance is going to cover it. We'll have to see. So, so everybody's saying hi, Miss Sunrise Dawn. How are you? Yes, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, is it Jurgen? I hope I did not missay that. I speak two languages. I speak English somewhat, and Texan is my main language. So Jurgen may not I may not have that right, and if I butchered your name, I am so sorry. But hello, thank you for joining me. And Miss Sunrise Dawn. Oh, I did say it right. Awesome. Miss Sunrise Dawn. Oh, I did say it right. She's saying hello from Georgia. How are you doing? Good to see you guys. Well, it was the you that kind of set me in that direction, Jurgen. Um, the two dots above the U, I'm not sure what they mean, but they said to me that it wasn't the usual jargon that I would have come up with. So I'm glad I got it right. That was awesome. So what are y'all's thoughts on this statute of limitations thing? Do you think that it should be a across the board national lack of statute of limitations for those kind of crimes? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I personally think it should. I think the country should say those types of crimes should not have a statute of limitations. They should be allowed to be prosecuted as soon as they have the proof that it happened. And I mean, it's hard to prove that that it happened, but if you go back and you have the damage and you have the I mean, it like in Miriam's case. I mean, he confessed. You know why he confessed? It's because he knew he wasn't going to pay for it. You know. Yeah, DJ. Some crimes should never be timed out. Agreed. And I believe child SA should be one of those. I mean, if you think about it, there was a big thing. Oh gosh, 10, 20 years ago, I want to say, in the Catholic Church, where there was a lot of child SA going on. And those children remembered it, and the perpetrators were never legally held responsible, but within the church they were somewhat. They were moved around. They pulled a Scientology. Oh, we'll get him out of the jurisdiction. But some of them were defrocked. There's been some action on it, but even so, if you have numerous children in a society or in a area or within a group that say this happened to me, and this is the one who did it, or within this organization these people did it, it's happened to so many. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. And all I can say about things like Scientology is that there's not a little bit of smoke. It looks like a dadgum forest fire. You know, the smoke from a forest fire, there's smoke everywhere. So, you know, if there's enough people who come out and say, these things happened to me, I don't understand how the law can ignore that. I don't understand. Excuse me, I need a drink. I'm a little dry. I don't understand how the authorities don't look at this and say, well, let's see, we have all these people who are saying this happened, and they know who their attacker was. And we've seen that the attacker's been moved out of the country. Try to get, you know, what do they call it? Extradite country. There's something wrong here. We need to look into this. But they're not. Why? Because those people are adults and it happened 30 years ago? I don't know. But there are a lot of people right now who are coming out and saying, these things happened to me. Just like these things happened to her. These things happened to him. And they're all telling the same story. And in some ways, some instances, it's the same person who's done it to them. So, yeah. So, DJ, something that upsets me is when lawyers don't work for the truth, but just to win the case, when justice can be purchased. Yeah, that is a huge problem. I mean, let's look at, I hate to bring him up, but we all know that O.J. Simpson unalived Nicole Brown Simpson. We all know that. But he bought and paid for his for the justice system to look the other way. To just literally look the other way. It's just like Scientology buys and pays the justice system many times to look the other way. Oh, they have to go to arbitration. They can't sue another member in the cult or in the church. They're buying their justice. The judges granted, we know that LRH's writings are considered church doctrine. And because Scientology has been declared a 501c3 religious tax exempt status, they are considered a religion. It's just like the judges can't go in and interpret or rule upon scripture in the Bible or in the Torah or in the Quran. They can't do it to LRH's writings. And that's just a case of having the change in the religious 501c status, which is something that we're all working on. I know we are. It's one of the big things so that the things that are happening to these people can be actually brought forward, can be used as evidence. But you have to realize that in the initial, it's not that, we talk about justice being purchased. It's not that Scientology is out there paying judges, bribing judges. It's that they paid for the harassment of the IRS to get that 501c3 status. That's how they bought justice. That's how they are paying. And in the end, we're paying for people to not be held accountable. And I just don't know that, you have to have some people in the IRS who have the cojones to look into what happened all those years ago. What was it, 93? Look into what happened then, realize that this was wrong, and be strong and brave enough to realize that Scientology is not the group that the IRS dealt with back then. Scientology was much stronger back then, had people that were willing to jump up and sue individual people to get that 501c3 status. Now Scientology is a paper tiger. They will threaten, they will do all this stuff, but they just don't have the people nor the power. The only power they have is the fact that the IRS says they're a religion. So if we could find agents, people who had the intestinal fortitude to say, I'm going to look into how this happened. I'm going to look into what they're doing with this 501c3 status. Buying buildings to hide their money, their tax, so that they can keep their tax-free status. Not helping the community, not helping people, making, an area where there are people who are stealing, who's identity theft, an area where sexual assault essays are happening. People are being scammed, people are being abused, all in the name of a religion. To be able to look into that and then bring forth the information that has been given to you. Of course, we all know that these agencies never talk to each other. Oh my God, somebody might take their arrest, their it's all about names in the news. But get together with these that people who have given information to hello, Dawn Gloves. Thank you for subscribing. But anyway, take that, go into that, look at that, bring all that evidence forward, talk to whomever, get that information. I mean, I'm sure Serge would talk to the IRS if they sent somebody out to talk to him. I'm sure Nora and Liz and all these people would tell their stories to the IRS if they were willing to investigate. And then turn around and say, this is not a religion. This is not what a religion does. And strip them of that 501c3 status. Then justice could happen. But it's going to take a concerted effort from those who are fighting the fight. Finding the IRS agent that is going to stand up to them and say, no, you owe taxes back to whatever you're 93. We're charging you back taxes on all of this income. Of course, it would all go overseas into accounts that can't be, looked into. We all know that. But the big thing that would happen is that no longer would these policies and these tech and these writings be religious doctrine. No longer would the things that are happening to these children, these things that are happening to people, the elderly within that cult, could no longer be hidden behind a wall of religion. And yes, that is part of the key between getting the word out about what's happening to these children and using that to insist to move the IRS into removing that tax exempt status and to bring those people to justice that happened to. Hello, Pamela Lowe. Thank you for subscribing. And so, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, I think the elder abuse and the child abuse is going to be the big key. But we still have to get rid of that 501c3 status or justice will never be served. Step 1 is to downgrade from church status to religious organization. Then they can be audited and more scrutinized. I agree with that. Yes, definitely. We just have to get that, downgrade that, removal of that status. Anyway, so I do believe that we should have the statute of limitations removed on these crimes that are committed, these heinous crimes, the essays, the child essays, the kidnappings and child trafficking. That needs to be removed so that at least these people can come forward and legally record what happened to them. Then those cases can be used to remove or to get the ball rolling on removing that 501c3 status, because then we have to have the ability to go in and find the records, because we know that they write everything down. There are confessions. My husband's and my dogs are playing. I apologize. But they have, they have those things written down. Now, great, they're going to go in the shredder as fast as they can, but they're there. And so that would allow a raid into the church to grab those records and create the issue where we could take them down. Anyway, if anybody has any thoughts, I've been almost an hour. I didn't want to go too long because the more important OGs are going to be starting to come on soon. But please, in the comments, let me know what you think about the removal. My goodness, the removal of the statute of limitations on SA, child SA, kidnapping and child trafficking. Let me know your thoughts on all that and on the 501c3 status and how we can actually move forward, use some of these cases to move forward that removal of the 501c3 status through the IRS and through even if we have to go to the Supreme Court. Those cases need to be heard. So anyway, obviously it's dinner time for the dogs. That's what's going on. So I need to go feed my dogs and then feed my husband. Thank you guys for being here for the very first live stream that I'm doing on this channel. And again, in the comments, let me know what you think. So we can end this. I'm trying to figure out where my stuff is. So that we can end this and, in Scientology and get these children, my goodness, the help they need. I'm going to head out, y'all. Thank you for joining me, and y'all have a blessed day.